of your imagination that there are not enough eligible black men to marry. It is real. By the time, and like I said, I'm going to take my time with this. By the time you take that black people are only 11% of the population, black men being half of that 11%, by the time you remove the gay men, by the time you remove the mass incarceration, that when you see the populations of these prisons, and it is predominantly black men that are, these prisons are full of black men, full, at an exponential rate compared to our percentage of society. We're only 11% of the population, but the prisons are full of black men. You take out the men who are already married, you take out the men who are on the down low, gay, pretending to be straight, but ain't never gonna marry a woman, or if they do, they're bearding, faking, fronting, whatever. Inside of the still group of eligible black men in the dating pool, you still now, under heterosexual black men who are not married and who are not gay and who are not in prison, are still gonna be your gold-toothed, pants-sagging dudes who have 0 sense. That's still inside of that number. Black men have come at me when I say there's not enough eligible men, and they push back at me. But one of the things I've realized about good black men is that you don't realize that, first of all, there's not a gazillion more like you. I've noticed this even with my husband. There's a lack of awareness around what is eligible and the availability of black men. My husband thinks so many men are just like him, that there's just really a bunch of Carrie Popes running around that are solid, hard-working, intelligent, marriage material, mature, grown men who want to be responsible and want to build a family. And I'm like, Carrie Pope, no.
Here we go. Like I said, I've broken down in detail. If you guys haven't already, go back and check my pre-record, and go back and check my other live that I just did earlier, or my other premiere earlier today, where I broke down everything in detail. We broke down the black men are gay and still bunnied. We broke down the black men are gay and still bunnied. We broke down black men are in prison. We broke down all of that. Like, I never provided the stats, so I don't want to belabor the point for those of you guys who have seen it. You can go back and check my my video early today where I talk about it. But here's something else that I want to remember. And here's something else that I want us to consider when we're having this conversation about who's marriageable. Are black men really to blame? Are black men the reason that black women are not married? Another problem that I have with this conversation is that we are always assuming that black women are marriage material. Y'all notice how anytime they start talking about what black men aren't doing, how they're not making enough money, or how they don't have diplomas, or they don't have college degrees, or how they don't, they're not showing up, they're not emotionally available, they don't make enough money, they are secretly gay, they are colorist, futurist, texturist. Like, so you guys notice anytime we have these conversations about black love and black relationships and the ways in which black men are not showing up, we almost never talk about how black women are showing up. The assumption is that the entirety of the black female population in America is doing well. The assumption is that black women as a collective across the world in the diaspora are doing okay, and that they themselves are inherently marriageable. And so we have to beg the question, what makes somebody marriageable? How do you determine, what are the qualifications that make somebody ready for marriage? What does that look like? What does a marriage-minded woman look like? What does a marriage-minded man look like? Because there's a whole laundry list of the things that we know women want. I think men are very clear what women want from men, right? Men know that women want men who are tall, primarily, who make at least 6 figures. Now it's probably getting even higher, the higher end of 6 figures, who have some form of social status, because listen, there are blue collar workers out there. There are skilled tradesmen out there who make 6 figures, who are making good money, but may not get the clout or may not get the consideration because they don't have a college degree. So really, when women are saying that they want college degrees, what they really want is status. They want the status that comes with being in a white collar corporate setting. They want access to the nice parties. Okay. They want access to the secret societies. They want access to, the fraternities and the sororities and the different things that go on there. Like, they want the social clout. And a man who's making over six figures, and I know I'm going on a little bit of a tangent here, but I want you guys to understand that the conversation never shifts to what men want. And I think if we had a conversation about what men actually consider marriageable, then we might be able to level set this conversation, and we might be able to determine that, hey, maybe it's not that 100% of Black women are marriage material and only 2% are. Maybe there's only 20% of Black women who are marriage material, and there's only 19% of Black men who are marriage material. And well, maybe why aren't those people getting married? Right, and I'm just making up numbers, but what I'm saying is that when we assume that all Black women are marriage minded, and we don't take into consideration the things that men want, such as health, personality. Don't nobody want to be with anybody mean. And if you have an education, and if you have money, and if you have a savings, and you can pay your own car and got your own little luxury apartment, but you are mean as hell, no man cares. No man cares. Okay. If you got hella kids, like a lot of dudes, especially the kind of dudes that women like, because there are going to be men out there who will be with literally anything. You're going to find a man on any level for a woman, but the kind of men that ladies like to show off for their friends, way to try to be stepdads. And if they do choose to be that, it's usually because a woman is really, really, really looking the part. She's bringing somebody to the table for him. She's, you know what I mean? But I'm saying, like, the single parenthood is a big deal for a lot of guys, and we're not talking about that. Like, we're just assuming that all those women are great because they do meditations and affirmations and they have great personalities. That means men are just going to accept them. And it's like, you can do meditations and affirmations and have great personalities, and you might be somebody's wife. But for a lot of men, you're going to be removed. Just like a woman might remove a man who only has a high school diploma, there are going to be men out there who are going to remove you if you got a kid out of wedlock, or two, or multiple baby daddies. So it's like, but you see how we don't bring up both points. We just be like, men aren't here, women are here, and men are the problem. Like, that's always it. And it's like, we're not, partially the reason we don't get anywhere is because there's not a full diagnosis of the problem.
Oh, well, Sabby, what do you know? You're married. I am, but I wasn't always married. Somebody would say to you, oh, Sabby, what do you know? You're not married to a Black guy. No, I'm not. But again, I wasn't always married.
Now, I know real quick, I know some of y'all just tapped out when you find out that she was married to a white man.